I wanted to come on and share a product review. This is a purchase that I made over Black Friday, and it is called the Anna Griffin Empress Mini. So there's a look at that right there. I wanted to purchase this particular machine for two reasons. Now, the first one was because I wanted something that was easy to keep on my desk. I can put it on the floor next to me and it's not taking up a lot of space. The thing that I really appreciated most about this machine versus some of the other mini machines out there is the fact that this has a much wider opening. You are going to be able to fit a 4-inch plate, so 4 inches in width across going into this machine, much bigger than a Sidekick, say, or the Altenew little manual. I think even bigger than the Gemini, the mini Gemini that's out there. So those were two things that I appreciated. This is from Anna Griffin. If you have watched any of Jennifer McGuire's die cutting machine reviews, you'll know that she does recommend the Empress, which is the full-size one, and so I thought that this would be worth purchasing. And so far there are a few things that I had to adjust to, but otherwise I really like this, and I think that it's perfect for, as I mentioned, having on my desk and being able to do some quick die cutting rather than going over to my machine, and I can do some of the stuff on camera if I choose to. Let's jump into this particular product. I am going to show you the plate so I can take my hand off of this. I'm going to move this over. There we go. So they come with two A plates. They are both the same thickness as they both are A plates. There's a very strong, this is probably one of the strongest magnetic mats I've come across. So there's a very strong magnetic mat. We have a die embossing mat, very thick again, and then we have a metal shim. I'm going to tell you that the sandwich recommendation did not recommend the metal shim. I do recommend it because I have noticed that some things don't cut as well as others, and if you just keep that metal shim in there, it will cut perfectly every time. I used accent opaque paper, which is 110 pound, my version is, and I noticed that I did need that metal shim. I tried cutting a thinner piece of cardstock and I still needed a metal shim, so even though it doesn't recommend it, I would try it without a couple of times and see what your thoughts are. But for my particular machine and the way that it's pressing, it really does need that metal shim. The machine itself, the plug is right here in the back. As I mentioned, it is electric, so it will plug into your outlet. There is a power button right here, and then you have your run, which is going to run your sandwich through. And then, of course, if you want to run it through a second time, you can hit that reverse button and it will bring it back. It came with the instruction manual, and then it also came with a couple of dies and an embossing folder. I purchased this, as I mentioned, over on Black Friday. I purchased mine on HSN, and they had a really nice special for this particular machine. Anna Griffin also has her own website, so you can purchase it direct from Anna Griffin as well. I will tell you that the deal I got was better over on HSN at the time, but remember, you do pay shipping, so you have to consider that. With Anna Griffin, I think if you purchase the machine, because of the amount that it is, you would get free shipping. And so just kind of look at both of those areas, both of those sites, and weigh which one with the shipping or with, you know, without having to pay the shipping, which one is the least expensive. Here is the manual. You have your regular die cutting, you have embossing with a metal die, so you can do that. And then you have embossing with your embossing folder. And finally, you have using the metal shim. This will not work, as far as I know, with any of the foiling machines, so I cannot do any hot foiling with this particular machine at this time. Anna Griffin is pretty innovative, and I'll be really surprised if she doesn't come out with a hot foiling system pretty darn soon. So let's talk about the other feature that I thought was fantastic about this machine. As I mentioned, it is 4 inches wide, which in and of itself is just absolutely fabulous. But there is an option to purchase slimline plates, and this was what sold me on it. So it wasn't so much the regular plates. You can see how much bigger the slimline plates are. It wasn't so much, I loved the width of it. That was definitely a plus. But the fact that I can run my slimline dies through this, you know I do love slimline die cutting, so I thought that this would serve a dual purpose, and I absolutely appreciate that feature so much. I'm going to do a little bit of demonstration with the dies that I have on my desk. So I'm going to start with my Lawn Fawn. So I have this XOXO. I have a piece of Lawn Fawn watercolor paper, and we're going to look at the manual to see what we need to do. Of course, I mentioned to you that I do use my shim, so I am going to use my shim. I'm not even going to attempt to do it without the shim. I have my A plate. I'm going to lay my shim down. I'm going to add my magnetic sheet right here. And then again, what I appreciate about this, Jennifer McGuire has talked about this in her videos, changing the direction, not always running your dies straight up and down. So in this instance, I do have the option to change the direction just a little bit, and then I put that on backwards, and then you're going to put your die down. So there it is. It's nice and sturdy. And then all I need to do is add my A plate over the top. Make sure that's nice and straight. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'll move this over just a little bit, and we're going to turn the power on, and we're going to depress run. You can hear the machine turned on, and I'm going to run this through. Now it might work well if you run it through on the reverse and do it twice. I didn't try that. I just tried it with the one pass. So I'm going to remove this, and this is my die, and it didn't cut. Why didn't it cut? What did I do wrong? Wow, I had my die the wrong way. Oh my word. Maybe I didn't. Let's try it again. All right, I have another piece of paper here. I don't know what I did wrong right there. So I have that. I have my shim. I'm going to put my piece of cardstock. This time I'm going to run it straight. But that should have. And I'm going to add my plate. Turn the power on, hit run, and try this again. All right, that time it ran through, so I must have had my die upside down, although there's no impression here. So that's well, I guess there is a little impression. So I had my die the wrong way. Duh, hello. I'll go back, and when I edit this, well, I won't edit this, but when I look at this video to upload it, I'll see that I probably put my die the wrong way. Don't do that. Anyway, here is my XOXO. You can see that it cut perfectly. I'm going to move on to something that is a little bit more intricate. We are going to do a little bit of embossing. So the instructions say for die embossing, you need to start with your A plate and then you add your embossing mat on. So let's go backwards. So backwards, we're gonna go A plate. We're going to add our metal shim, not the magnetic mat, but the metal shim. We're going to add our die to the top of this. And then we're going to take a piece of paper. Let me find where I thought I had a piece of paper handy, but apparently I don't. Give me just a moment and I will grab a piece. All right, I'm just gonna use, does this fit? Yeah, that fits. So I'm gonna add, this is the right direction. I'm going to add this over the top. Okay, this is just a scrap piece of paper, so I'm probably not gonna use this. Then it says that you put your embossing mat on top. So I'm gonna add my embossing mat. And then I'm going to add my plate. All right, so that is my sandwich. I'm going to turn my machine on, and I'm going to run this through. That ran through just fine. I'm going to shut my machine off, and you can see that I have, can you see that? I have beautiful embossing. So this does allow you to emboss with your dies. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, that's really pretty. So you can emboss with your dies. All right, now I'm going to set this aside, and we are going to move on to our slimline. I'm going to start with my, let's see here. I'm going to start with my embossing folder. So Anna Griffin also has slimline embossing folders. In fact, I had not seen any other slimline embossing folders on the market until she had hers selling on HSN. And the sandwich for that is very simple. I believe it's going to be, see here. I was able to emboss without my metal shim, so I'm going to try that first. So I'm going to put this, this is just an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper cut in half on the 8.5 inch side. So I'll be able to trim this down to any size that I want. And then I'm going to take my 2 A plates. So here we have an A plate. I'm going to spritz this with a little bit of water. So let me open this up. Just spritz it with a little bit of water to soften my paper. I'm going to bring in my second A plate. Well, I'm going to try it with the shim, like they say, and see how it comes out. I'm afraid that it's going to cut my paper. That's my fear, is that it will cut my paper, that it's going to press just a little bit too hard. But let me try with the way that they said. I just used the 2 A plates when I did it previously. So as you can see, it's fitting nice. This actually is about, I think, I'm gonna say 10 inches long is how long these plates are. I'll measure them in just a moment. I don't want this on the edge, so I'm just kind of adjusting. I'm gonna put this on like this, sorry. Put this on like this, and then I'm going to just leave a little bit of a border here. And I think I like that better. And then I'm going to put my A plate back on. We'll turn on our machine and we're gonna hit run. Yeah, that sounds really tight. But you'll notice I'm not getting a lot of warping. And that's something else that I've noticed, is that my plates are not really warping. All right, I'm gonna set this aside, and This is going to obviously need to dry, but look at how beautifully that embossed. And it did not cut through, so that's a bonus. So you can use the metal shim and you get a really nice impression with that. I'll set this aside to dry. As I mentioned, I'll be able to cut this down to the size that I'm looking for. I'm going to use a more intricate die. So let's come in with one of our more intricate slimline dies and see how this does. So I'm gonna, again, stay with my shim. I'm going to add my magnetic plate over the top. Let me straighten that out. Again, I have a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of paper. This is another beautiful die set from Anna Griffin, and it comes in, this is brand new. Well, I shouldn't say brand new. I've had this and I haven't used it, and I hate when they put that. I know they have to, but that tape, it just makes it so difficult sometimes for things to come up. Okay, I'm not going to do the middle piece, but I am going to lay this down. So this is the right side up, right? And I'm going to come over here and just kind of center that. As I mentioned, this is a really strong, look at that. Look at how it grabbed onto that die. So it's a little bit difficult to move things once you put it down. And I'm trying to, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm fairly even. Okay, so we're going to lay this down. We're going to put our paper over the top of this. We're going to add, I'm going to turn over my A plate because you do, of course, want to use different sides of your plate, and I don't want to use this one. Let's do it this way. And I'm going to turn my plate over. I'm going to line this up. I'm going to hit start, and let's see how this cuts. So again, this is slim. Okay, so it does not want that shim. Why doesn't it want the shim? Because the Anna Griffin die might be a little bit thicker, maybe. So I'm going to try. I don't think I'm going to do this right. I think I may have ruined this. You guys, I am terrible at realigning these. All right, so I am going to attempt to line this back up. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. What happens if I go like this? Can I see the die? I can see the die. All right, I'm going to get another piece of paper. We're going to try this again. So for this die, it must be a little bit thicker than maybe the Lawn Fawn was. So I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to clean this out real quick. Bear with me. All right. So I'm going to add this back to the center. I missed a piece, but hopefully that's not going to be a big deal. And I'm going to line this up as best I can. All right. Now I'm going to add, let me see if I have another piece of paper cardstock that I can use. I do. I have the other side. All right. So I'm going to come back in. We've removed the shim. I'm just going to run it back through upside down again. And let's see if it runs this time. So there is a protection mechanism on this, which is really nice. And as I mentioned, the plates are pretty darn thick, but I want to make sure Let's see. There we go. So you have to hold down the reverse button. It doesn't just, you can't just run it through without holding it down. All right, so I wanted to run it twice just to be sure. And let's see how this cut. So here is the edge piece. So this is a layering set, which means that I can use this edge, take a different color of cardstock, and I'll be able to inlay it into this. So that cut beautifully. And now I'm going to shut my machine off, move it over here, and let's look at what we cut. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to use my Spellbinders tool, and I'm just going to kind of clean this out real quick. So give me just a moment. Just doing this over my trash can, trying to minimize the mess that I'm going to have here with all the little pieces. Okay. And I'm going to leave it in just so you can kind of see how the die is supposed to cut. And so I can rerun it through if I need to. All right, got it. One more. I hate when you have those little Klingons. Okay, so let's take a look. I got most of it. So we have flowers that are, it looks like going to emboss on this. And then we have flowers right here. And I think I got the majority of this out. So I'm going to pick this up. There's a couple little pieces. So we have this one right here and this one. These are what I call Klingons. They just don't want to go away. And then I had these ones down here, so I'll remove those. You guys, I lost the end of my Spellbinders tool. So the pokey part, this came off and in my craft room, and my craft room is super clean and I cannot find it anywhere. So random thought, but that's something that just kind of disappeared in my, I don't know about you guys, but things sometimes disappear and I don't have any idea where they go to. All right, so it cut beautifully. All right, so here's what we've done. We've die cut with our smaller plates. We've die cut with our slimline plates. We have embossed. We have embossed with a die, and then this is one I did earlier, and we've also embossed with embossing folders. This is another Anna Griffin one. Look at the texture on this. So if you do, I know that Spellbinders just came out with their own embossing folders, but if you use the Spellbinder kits and you're wanting something really elegant for an embossing folder and you want to do slim lines, the Anna Griffin is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at the dimension on that. It's not called a 3D embossing folder. Look at both sides are just gorgeous. It's not called 3D embossing folder, but look at it. It is just gorgeous. So that is a look at the Empress. And so I will have a link to it. I don't have an affiliate link, just so you know. I'm not getting any purchase or any commission off of this, but I did want to share this machine. If you're looking for something that has a little bit of a smaller footprint that is going to allow you to do almost all of your die cutting. So of course I don't recommend this for 5x7. So if you're like my good friend Sharon Luska, if you're a 5x7 card maker, this might not be the machine for you, but if you like to do slimline cards and A2 size cards, then this is going to fit the bill for almost all of your die cutting needs. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Thanks so much for watching.